From architecture to painting and sculpture, literature to live music and theater. Radio 111 presents Bonnie G and Brayan Mendoza with The Desert Scene, your connection to culture and entertainment in the desert cities. Here's Bonnie and Brayan.
Hello, welcome to this special episode of The Desert Scene where we remember 6 lost souls.
Unbelievable.
6 in the beginning of 2022.
In like what, 2 months?
1 month.
What was it, 1 month? Yeah. That's unbelievable.
2 weeks, more like 2 weeks at this point. But let's just say that we are paying tribute to the talents and life of 6. I'm not just going to say big names, but important names in the industries that they were in. Yep. And so let's go ahead and start with Peter Bogdanovich.
Bogdanovich, yeah. An amazing director. He directed The Last Picture Show and a number of other things. He also had a big affair with Sybil Shepherd.
Oh, yes.
He also had an affair with Dorothy Stratton, that Playboy chick whose boyfriend killed her, shot her in the face, and then he ended up marrying her younger sister. It was really weird. He had a weird love life.
I actually forgot about that, believe it or not.
Yeah, I was looking it up the other day.
And the thing about Pete Bogdanovich is that he's always been one of the more likable directors when you see him do interviews, because he feels like a real person. He doesn't feel pretentious. He feels like a guy that's sort of like, oh yeah, I just made a movie, it is what it is. And
didn't he direct What's Up, Doc?
Yes,
Barbra Streisand?
Yes, he did. Okay. He also has directed like you said before, he's directed the movie The Last Picture Show, which is actually one of the films of the new Hollywood era where movies were becoming a little bit more edgy and a little bit more contemplative. He's also directed The Wild Angels. He's also directed Paper Moon with Tatum O'Neal, which made it the movie worth the youngest.
She was the youngest to win an Oscar at that point.
Youngest to win an Oscar at that point. And they also directed They All Laugh, Saint Jack, Killing of the Unicorn, and the movie Mask, the one with Cher.
Oh, I forgot that he directed that.
Yeah,
wow.
It's an interesting career. And he's also done acting, where he acted in The Sopranos. And he also directed a movie called The Thing Called Love. And it's one of those things where I tend to forget that he directed certain movies, that it's shocking, because I thought to myself, he really did direct Mask. Yeah. And when I think about his work, it's very thoughtful. It's very thoughtful work that it is really, it's just good cinema. And then he also directed, I was trying to remember the name of this movie, At Long Last Love. Okay. One of the most, let's just say,
I think that was a flop.
A flop, yes.
Was that with Sybil Shepherd singing?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a flop, I remember, yeah.
Burt Reynolds, Sybil Shepherd, Marilyn Kahn. Okay. A movie that was filled with so many talents and had a lot of conversations I've had a lot of conversations with people about this movie where I've said, it's not that bad. It's actually pretty okay. Yeah. But I've seen people defend this movie to the bitter end. And you know what? It's one of those movies that it's underrated, and I'm glad that he got to have a director's cut. So rest in peace, Pete.
All right, who else we got?
We also got Ronnie Spector.
Oh, and that was just recently. Wow.
The lead singer of the Ronettes, and also was married to that one man. Let's just call him Murderer Spector.
Yeah, who died not that a couple years ago, a year ago, years ago.
It was around COVID or before COVID. But Ronnie Spector is famous for having this wonderful, beautiful voice and just being able to actually be this strong-willed woman that was not afraid to be honest on television when they do interviews with her.
When they were together, he was very controlling, as I understand. Very controlling.
Very controlling, and she escaped. She managed to escape that and actually build
her own career.
Yeah. She did a part of the song "Take Me Home Tonight," which is often cited as her comeback, because she does the "Be My Little Baby" parts of it, and I love those parts.
Good. What else? What were the hits? What were the Ronettes hits?
The Ronettes were "Baby, I Love You." Okay. Going to the chapel and getting married is one of their covers.
Was that the Dixie Cups?
That's the Dixie Cups, but it's one of their covers. Okay. And oh my God, one of them died too.
Okay.
One of the Dixie Cups had died. Oh my God, I just totally forgot about that. But the Ronettes, Baby I Love You, Be My Baby. They've also done Sleigh Ride. So the Phil Spector,
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah, Sleigh Ride, The Best Part of Breaking Up, and Walking in the Rain.
Okay.
So they have had a lot of great songs, and I always have them on my playlist when I drive sometimes. So like I'm walking in the rain.
Very, very fun, mostly upbeat songs that they did.
And what I like about Ronnie Spector is just the fact that she has this incredible voice, and what I love about it is that there's also an authenticity to it. It's not like always trying to do like a bravado voice. Yeah. There's an actual authenticity to it. Yeah. And it's beautiful music. And so rest in peace, Ronnie Spector. And you're about to give a name.
Sidney Poitier.
Sidney Poitier.
Oh my gosh. So there's so much you can say about him. He was a fabulous actor. Number one, first African American man to win a Best Actor Oscar. Broke so many, doors down. This very handsome man, and his life story. Came from Jamaica, Haiti, someplace like
Bohemia or something like that.
Yeah. As a child, teenager. Didn't speak English very well, couldn't read, and he got a job in New York washing dishes.
Oh, he was from the Caribbean.
Okay.
He was from the Caribbean.
He got a job washing dishes at a restaurant in New York, and somebody who worked there noticed, I think, kind of figured out that he couldn't read, and he said, would you like me, took a liking to him and said, would you like me to sit down and read you? So every night after the restaurant closed, he sat with this gentleman and he taught him to read.
Oh.
And I just saw the interview with, I think it was Oprah? The last interview he did with Oprah. He mentioned that, and he was crying. Think about that. This guy didn't have to do that, and he taught him to read. And he had auditioned before that for some major New York theater company, and they said no because he couldn't read the script, and he went back and ended up getting hired, getting a scholarship. And he had a little bit of turbulent love life. He had a wild fling with Diane Carroll.
Diane Carroll, yes, of course.
Now I've read two different things. One, maybe this was together, that he was a little old-fashioned, and a little bit controlling, and wanted her to do XYZ in her career, and she was kind of like, no. But then I also heard that he ended up dumping her and marrying somebody else and broke her heart. So
it's complicated because Sidney Poitier is one of those artists where his love life is almost overshadowed by his accomplishments.
Oh, because so many great movies. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? In the Heat of the Night.
A Patch of Blue.
To Sir with Love. Just amazing films that he did.
And what I like about his movies is that he managed to take roles where he's always playing the magical black person that's always showing up to help the white people. Because a lot of these roles
Lilies of the Field,
which is a prime example of that. He won the Oscar for that. But what makes him so great as an actor is that he took roles that ordinarily would be considered outdated now and flipped them. So where a black character that he usually plays would always be in service of a white character, but he always made it to where the white characters that they weren't using him. That I don't know how to put it, but he always changed it from him needing the white character's validation to them needing his validation.
Well, one of the best stories was in The Heat of the Night, that one scene where he's with Rod Steiger, the sheriff, and they're in questioning some other white Southern guy, and the white Southern guy slaps Sidney Poitier, and he's the detective, and he told the story. He said to the studio, you will write in the script, in my contract, that I slap him back, or I will not do this movie. Because if I don't, that is a disservice to every other African-American person in this country. And so they had to write it in the script that he slapped him back. And that had never happened before on the screen.
He's also been famous for the fact that he kissed two white women in a film. In The Patch of Blue, people always say Guess Who's Coming to Dinner is the braver film. I don't think so. That movie took a lot of shortcuts and didn't go as brave as it should have been. But what I like about the movie he made before, A Patch of Blue, which is overlooked and I think is a
wonderful film,
wonderful movie, is that the kiss is very direct in the camera. Yeah. You see it close up versus Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, it's in the background. It's that's why I don't think it's that brave of a movie, because it didn't. Patch of Blue did it more brave and bold. And what I like about A Patch of Blue, his what I like about how he did it there was the fact that it's right there in your face, but there's also like a real sexualness to it because they breathe afterwards, like that, and it's like, whoa, like that is a kiss. And I can't imagine like in the 60s somebody looking up in the screen and seeing a black man and a white woman.
Controversial at the time. Yeah.
But it was also like pretty powerful. Like I've seen a lot of people say that, you know, when they saw the two male characters kiss in Eternals in a Marvel movie, they felt a certain kind of way about it. I wonder how interracial couples might have looked at that screen and see him with I was going to say Elizabeth Hartman. I was going to say Mary Hartman, but Elizabeth Hartman looking up at the screen. And Sidney Poitier, just the fact that he deserved every single wonderful thing he got. And I love this one line he said, which was that he should not have been the first. That in the 60s, by that point, he should have been one of, but not the first one to win Best Actor.
But what a great what a great person to have broken through the ceiling and the doors and love the way. So, Sidney, we miss you. Rest in peace.
Yeah, and especially considering that there was always, you know, he didn't make a lot of movies towards the end, but I was always hoping he'd make.
Then he started directing.
Yeah, like
Richard Pryor and some funny ones. Yeah,
and I will say that I was always hoping that he would get that one final performance. Because I've seen a lot of artists in their 90s give that one final good performance. I was hoping to see it because I always see a lot of movies about older like white folks. I was hoping there'd be a movie about older black folks and he would be in it. But unfortunately, like he passed away, and so hopefully he's hanging out with Ruby Dee and Diane Carroll right now. But let's go ahead and talk about Marilyn Bergman.
Oh my gosh! If you are a fan of music, Marilyn and Alan Bergman, the husband and wife team, wrote some of the greatest lyrics and worked with Michel Legrand often, and they did so many great songs, Pieces of Dreams, How Do We Keep the Music Playing. Do you have a list? I know you've got all the info there.
Oh yeah,
some amazing songs.
The Windmills of
Your
Our Mind, The Way We Were.
Yes.
And that one's an Oscar winner for sure. Yellow Bird, Nice and Easy, Champion, The Wonder Horse, You Don't Bring Me Flowers, In the Heat of the Night, which we were just talking about, Pieces of Dreams, All His Children. There's just, It Might Be You. It Might Be You is one of the more underrated songs in my opinion.
And more current. But just amazing if you think about the quality of the stuff that they did, and just to sit down and come up with those kind of lyrics. I mean, just what a talent.
And just the fact that like she was a woman songwriter gaining appreciation and being able to have this like creative liberty with her husband. It's like I think
what a team. They were such a great team.
That was, if anything, I tell people, you know, if you want to have couple goals, as the kids would say, Alan and Marilyn Bergman is not
a good example.
A good example, especially considering that I still hear a lot of you talk about The Way We Were, and it's not just a Barbra Streisand song, it's a Bergman song.
Exactly.
And I gotta say, if you want to listen to a song that I think is underrated, hey, when you get a chance, listen to It Might Be You from the movie Tootsie. That song is always played at weddings for a very good reason, because you can hear the love in that song.
Yeah.
And also this is the fact that they wrote a love song for a movie about a man in a dress.
Yeah.
And there's this sincerity to it, because I was watching that movie and I thought, you know, just the fact that this is a real love song, and it's Dustin Hoffman in a dress looking at Jessica Lange with like love in his eyes, and I'm like, okay, Bergmans, you've done it. You've done it here. Like if they can do that, they can do anything. And then finally, we have two more. Let's do Bob Saget first. Such a shock. You know, Bob Saget sort of surprised me a lot, because it was just so sudden, because I was under the impression that he still had a lot more to do in this world. He had just done he was doing a stand-up, and he just done stand-up that night or the night before or whatever. And he got a heart attack. Is that what they determined it was? Okay. He died from a heart attack. And so Bob Saget, you know, for those of you who don't know, but I'm sure you do know, he's from Full House and America's Funniest Home Videos, but he's also famous for having done the voice narration for How I Met Your Mother, where I thought he made that show way more tolerable than it really was. Like if you take his voice away, it's not that good. But he was also famous for being a shock comedian, just being able to have like the most shocking humor in the world. but still be really likable to the point that he is America's father. That he's essentially become America's dad. Yeah. And I will say that even though I'm not the biggest fan of Full House, he was one of the reasons why people loved it. And it was tolerable. And his jokes on America's Funniest Home Videos, corny. But you know what? They were good. The fact that he was able to do corny humor and shock humor pretty well. Yeah. Just
and all of the interviews I've seen with people who knew him and worked with him, just beloved by. I mean, I've never heard anyone say anything bad about him. Just beloved by a lot of people.
And our final person,
Betty White. Oh my gosh.
You know, that one right there really hit some people because she was about to be 100 years old.
We thought she'd live forever, you know, and everybody was planning these big parties for her 100th birthday. But yeah, what a life she led. And amazing career. You know, she had her own talk show. She sang. She was a good singer, did all kinds of stuff. And then, of course, Golden Girls was her big, of course, Mary Tyler Moore show.
Mary Tyler Moore, Life
and Golden Elizabeth. Girls. And then what was Hot in Cleveland or whatever it was.
Hot in Cleveland, Life in Elizabeth. So like 4 sitcoms from
successful
sitcoms
over
from almost every
50,
era.
60 years or whatever.
The fact, and she's considered one of the greatest hosts of SNL.
Yes.
Just the fact that like Betty White is the queen of television.
Yeah.
You can almost argue she is the first lady of television because of how much she has changed the game for television.
And same thing, beloved by everybody. By the way, she was asked to do the Today Show before Barbara Walters, and she said no because she didn't want to move to New York. She said no, didn't want to move to New York City. And of course, the love of her life was Alan Ludden, on Password together, and he passed years ago, sadly. But she never remarried after that. That was a great love story. But just funny. I mean, she was funny and bawdy, and she could say naughty things and get away with it. And you know, I mean, to have that kind of longevity in that life. Now, obviously, genes, you know, physical genes have something to do with it. But I think for someone like Betty White, she was doing what she loved to do.
Yes,
she was doing what she loved to do, and obviously must have taken care of herself. And great love of animals, great support of animals.
Yeah, certainly. And I would also say the fact that she, you know, didn't hold on to grudges, even though she was.
She didn't seem like somebody who was angry, held on to stuff.
The famous discussion was that she was having problems with some of the women on Golden Girls, especially B. Arthur, and the fact that she didn't hold a grudge and just sort of like always talked so beautifully about people and was always so willing to share stories and be so supportive of people and communities. And I gotta tell people, you know, sometimes I see celebrities where they're on a famous sitcom and they talk so badly about their time on it, like you know, the Sex and the City women.
That whole thing. Gosh.
They need to learn, take a lesson from Betty White.
Let it go.
Because Betty White's longevity is just the fact that she radiates this positive energy.
And holding on to energy, grudges and negative energy, resentment, is not good for your body.
No, certainly not. And you know what? It tells you a lot about Betty White when people tell you that 100 was too soon.
Yeah. Well, Betty White, rest in peace, all of these folks. We lost a lot this year. So let's just take a moment to appreciate everything they left us and to think about, you know what? None of us are getting out of here live. So, you know, get rid of grudges, tell people you love them, do what you want to do, follow your dreams, because you never know.
And to allude to an earlier episode, you know, when you say artists are non-essential, think about how much these deaths have hurt you.
Everybody, exactly.
You know, is Betty White unessential? Think about it.
No,
She's
no,
not. She's essential. Every artist that has touched his heart is essential. So that's what I gotta say. Rest in peace, Betty White, Peter Bogdanovich, Ronnie Spector, Bob Saget, Sidney Poitier, and Marilyn Bergman. You've all touched our hearts forever.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next time on The Desert Scene.